Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to another fantastic episode of Beyond the Hat. Today we are going to be discussing whether or not people take retro gaming too seriously. I can't really say that I do personally, but what do you think? Not me, generally do people take it too seriously?
People take retro gaming far too seriously. Like far too seriously. It's literally embedded into every facet of their life. And if anyone ever comes up with any sort of misinformation or are ill-informed about one little thing, if someone doesn't know, for example, that Atari sold 10 copies of their Hyper Junior Irish Mega Junior Edition X-Fighting McGee, then apparently that means you have no credentials whatsoever anymore, and you can't have an opinion about any facet of retro gaming. And it's just ludicrous, the fact that people are so exclusionary and so elitist about something that matters so little. Like retro gaming in the grand scheme of things, it makes me laugh when there's genuine problems out there in the world and they give a less of a crap about that, but they give more of a crap about me not knowing what an Amstrad GX4000 is.
I think it's weird that I think it's fine to take it seriously, as in like if you want to collect the crap load of stuff, like that's fine. But I always find it a bit weird when people attack you for having either a different opinion or not know. Like surely you can play a retro game or like a football team without knowing every single fact about every single football team and every single football player. But I feel like, well, YouTube's a weird place and a very weird place, but if you don't know every fact about every retro game, you're not allowed to play retro games and you shouldn't be anywhere near a console.
Yeah, I mean, we recently released a video about the Amstrad GX4000 and I was reading through the comments and people were calling us stupid for not knowing what it was. It sold 15,000 copies. I know because I read the Wikipedia page afterwards.
League One football stadium worth.
Yeah. So now I've decided that what I'm going to do is I'm going to read every Wikipedia page. That's what I'm going to do now, because if I don't know everything, then I'm stupid.
That's what they do, though. That's what I'm convinced a lot of these people do. I'm convinced a lot of these people read Wikipedia articles or watch videos by people like Rich, and then they come out of it on the other side and they go, I'm actually a bit of an expert myself on the Amstrad GX4000. And it's like, did you ever own one? Well, no, but how many games of it have you played? Well, I've never. It's like, so how are you an expert? Well, I've read that. No, exactly. Shut up.
I think people...
Stop telling other people they don't know about things. It's ridiculous.
People in general, like, whether it's not retro gaming or anything, I think people have this weird sense of superiority when they know something someone else doesn't.
And does this actually relate to retro gaming at all? Is it just elitism?
It's everywhere, but I mean, obviously, because I've seen, YouTube is a weird place, like I said, with comments and what the things people say, you just think like, what are you? But
the comment section of YouTube it makes me feel like I'm back in school, and when you put up your hand to answer a question and you get it wrong, and then you have like the 3 kids at the back of the class that laugh at you.
That was me.
No, it makes me feel. It makes me feel like. I'd say it makes me feel like I'm so glad I have a great life and I'm not you, because like honestly, these people. So not everyone, because obviously there's some fighters.
Some great comments. Yeah,
but
really nice.
there's some strange people out there that you just think like, what are you doing? Like, where do you? Why? Like, But going back to the superiority thing, like, surely, everyone's knowledgeable on different subjects that they enjoy and stuff. I wouldn't sit here and call you're stupid because you don't know what a bloody guitar machine head is.
Yes, I do.
But I'm just saying.
Of course I do.
Everyone knows what that is.
I read the Wikipedia page on it, so now I know.
Yeah, exactly. But that's my point. But like, I wouldn't act superior over something. I would pass that knowledge on to that person, so they have that knowledge as well. And then, I just think it just irritates me.
Here's how it comes across to me. Like, obviously, I've been on YouTube now for 3.5 years, and talking about people who take gaming too seriously. A lot of the time, it comes from the most passionate fans of the subject covered. Obviously, I do 2 videos a week, so the subjects I cover on the channel are kind of broad. An example, what comes straight to mind is remember when I covered Street Fighter 3, and a lot of people got angry over that because I commented that most people never played it.
Yeah, like that could be disputed.
Yeah, and I actually learnt later in the comment section that one of the people who was really angry over the video I made on Street Fighter 3 was a former professional Street Fighter 3 player, one of the early people in the fighting game community. So that's a perfect example.
Is that a nice way of saying sad?
But that's exactly it, isn't it? It's like, how can you not know about this game that I dedicated all my time to?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's your time, man. I was playing other things. I was doing other things. It's just, it really weirds me out. Like you say, when we had a really excellent rebuttal video from Novabug, who basically just stated some facts. He was like, yeah, I kind of get what you're saying, but these are some facts about the console.
Yeah, and he educated.
Yeah, and that was nice. That was just sharing information. That's cool.
The only point...
I need to interrupt you a bit because basically I need to give a quick recap of what you're actually talking about in case people haven't seen the previous video. It's only 4,000 people watched it to begin with. We made a little video on this if you want to get it down.
It's upside down.
I
know that fact.
So yeah, I presented this to the boys, the Amstrad GX4000, giving them no prior knowledge going into the video. They didn't even know they was going to discuss Amstrad whatsoever, and I just presented it to them and talked about porting Sonic over to the device and if there's any point to it, and obviously they just laughed at it and blew off the idea, and that made quite a few people angry in the comment section.
I think the only valid point he made was, that I didn't look at, was the fact that he said it keeps the gaming community alive, which I can understand. You know, if there's people that want to play these consoles and see what they can do, that's fine. But for someone like me, that, you know, I like playing a retro game, I like playing games, but I don't have an obsession with every single retro game or every console.
This is exactly
so
what
it means nothing to me.
This is what we're saying about people taking retro gaming too seriously. I showed them the Amstrad GX4000 as literally an oddity, as I knew they probably wouldn't know what it was. Yeah. So I just thought it was a fun little oddity to discuss, but it annoyed a few people that they hadn't heard of it. But I just find less likely to have heard of it than you have heard of it.
We've heard of it now.
It sold 15,000 copies. That is, I think, only just over the capacity of Colchester United's football ground.
10,000, that holds.
Yeah, so
I would put money that most professional gaming YouTubers have never heard of a GX4000, and that's their full time.
But they'll claim they have.
Yeah. It'd be like, the thing is, if you went to all of the people that moaned about it, and then said, okay, well, can you give me the same amount of information on the Playdia, for example?
Or the Dragon 32?
Well, I don't really know, actually, because this isn't my area of expertise. This is. Yeah, right. You might have experience, like you might have great knowledge on one specific area or a handful of specific areas, but the stuff that you don't know, like there's loads of stuff that we don't know. We talk about our experiences and our fun that we've had with stuff.
Go on.
I find retro gaming enthusiasts odd, on the most part, because a lot of what I enjoy about retro gaming is stuff that I have had experience with before, or certainly in the area that I've had interest in before. So like there'll be consoles that were released at the time that I never got to play, but I remember them coming out. Like Saturn, I never owned a Saturn, but I've played a fair bit of it since I've become older, and I enjoy it for that sake, as I remember gaming being in that state. But you have a lot of people younger than myself. I mean, I'm not young by any stretch of imagination now at 29, but there's people younger than me that are talking about, oh, I love these retro consoles like the Amstrad. Oh, isn't it great? And it's like, dude, you don't remember that. You don't even remember that even close to coming out. It's ridiculous. Now you laud it like it's some sort of amazing lost piece of retro gaming history, and it's like, but you don't really know anything about it. You have no connection to it. You're just. It's almost like you're saying that you enjoy it for the sake of looking cool.
Well, you can create.
Can I interrupt because I've got a good point to make regarding this. What you're saying right now pretty much represents another toxic side to me of retro gaming and it being taken a bit too seriously. Okay. For example, I will cover a subject I know very little about on the channel because I want to educate the audience. But in order to do that, I have to do lots of research myself on the subject. But then, after I put out the video, I will have people claiming I'm a fraud, etc. because
you didn't know about
I didn't grow up and didn't know about it before. So that makes me a fraud for caring about it.
It makes no sense because you can only acquire information when you acquire that information.
Yeah.
At what point do you acquire that information and not be labelled stupid? Like, I don't know what mortar blobs are, but if I googled it and spent 3 days, Wikipediaing it and find out exactly what they are and what they do, and I'm suddenly an expert, am I now an idiot because I only found out about that yesterday? It makes no sense.
Even if you went onto Wikipedia and learnt about it, they'd then call you an idiot for learning it from Wikipedia.
I think that's the two sides of it. I think you have the two sides of it. I think you have people that call you an idiot for not knowing about retro things in the first place. But you also have people that will educate themselves purely just so they can act elitist about knowing about
100%.
something that's very niche.
And that's what a lot of people
they're
have.
both as bad as each
that's
other.
what the latter is what a lot of people attack me over. So we get attacked over the opposite things. If that makes sense.
It's bizarre to me. Why are you attacking anyone when you're just sharing information?
You think like these YouTube people, you can create your entire personality on YouTube and you can be whatever you want to be, because if you're in a comment fight with someone, for example, and they go, oh, you don't even know what it is, all they can do is go on Google and find out and then copy and paste and go, I did know about that, and pretend. It's not like you're having a conversation with someone in real life, is it?
No.
But in my opinion, like, you know, I wouldn't say like, oh my god, I'm obsessed with retro gaming, this and this. I enjoy some retro games like I enjoy modern games, and a lot of it comes from nostalgia. And I don't care what anybody says, we're nostalgic for certain games, certain soundtracks. You know, I sometimes might be a bit weird, but I'm sure we all do it. You might put on a game that's not particularly good, but you just remember good times as a kid and you like the soundtrack and you like to be in that moment.
Can I just say, I disagree with you on that point, but this is all about taking retro games too seriously. Maybe I'm taking your comment too seriously because I want to dispute what you just said, and I'm sure other people were in the comment section as well. I certainly never retro game for nostalgia, because I rarely go back and play games I played in my childhood. I look for games I didn't play so I can experience them, because I think the gameplay is marginally better than the majority of games that come out today. Like the majority of games that come out now often feel soulless in comparison to stuff I played.
Yeah.
Like they actually used to release finished games, for example.
Name a game that I wouldn't have played before on a random console.
What, any game?
Yeah, any game. I'm leaving literally
Kane.
any game. Like, literally any game that you played.
Claymates for the Super Nintendo.
Right. Does that make me a bad person because I haven't played Claymates and I don't know? I literally don't know what it is.
Absolutely not.
Right. Exactly. So would you attack someone over that?
No.
Right. Exactly. So what is the retro gaming community doing? They're toxic as hell. I had this on our channel. Right. I had this on our channel.
Yeah.
We were talking about the move towards discless media for computer consoles. Right. And I pretty much was the only person that said, well, you're just going to have to like it and lump it, because companies can't be bothered to keep producing discs anymore in physical media because it costs too much money. It's not cost effective for them anymore. They're just going to release them as download only. And people go, that's a ridiculous stance to take. Oh my God, I love my physical media. It's like, well, I didn't say that I didn't like physical media.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
weird
said,
though. Like,
that's the way it's going to go. You just have to accept that. You're not going to change it. But that's that toxicity that gaming people seem to have. It's like, as far as I was always aware, people do it gamers. We like to find each other because we're kind of nerdy and we like games and we all enjoy the same thing. But then within that, they all turn on each other because they go, you don't like it in the same way I do. It's
another
really
example.
weird.
When I first started the channel, part of the reason I wanted to start a YouTube channel because I wanted to cover microcomputers amongst the content, like the ZX Spectrum, the Amstrad CPC 464 and that. And part of the reason, because I felt they was underrepresented on YouTube somewhat, with all the big American YouTubers being around, not covering them. So in comparison to the Nintendo Entertainment System, etc., it was underrepresented. I found, though, that through covering platforms like the ZX Spectrum, rather than appeasing people who grew up with those systems, instead it would really annoy them that I was covering those systems, because they've got a protectionist mentality over those systems, that it was their systems, the rest of the world aren't entitled to enjoy them, it's from their era. Basically, I needed to shut up because I was too young to remember it. That was a lot of people's mentality.
And it's horrible that the gaming community gets that toxic towards each other. It really is. It's not conducive to a fun time for anybody. And I just don't understand why they do it. And I think retro people...
I can't understand it's a game on a computer. You're getting angry about it. Dude. And the worst thing about it is a lot of them are like 40. Like 30,
well,
40.
everyone who would obviously get annoyed with me regarding microcomputers are all 40 plus.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
I mean, I'm not.
That's how old you've got to truly appreciate it in its prime.
I feel like, you know, we're not sitting here slagging off, like, you know, your entire fan base and this and this, but I'm looking at, even from looking at Twitter, you know, because I'm friends with you, I get, for some reason, I see a lot of gaming related posts, and I just think, like, some of the people that, you can tell some people are just showing off, like, they're just like, oh, look what I've bought for the hell of it, I'm just blah blah, and it's just laughable, some of their attitudes, and you just think, like you having a go at me a minute ago, well, not having a go, you know, we're having a debate about you like nostalgia. To find obscure games and that, I like nostalgia and that. I'm a bit like it with films. Sometimes, you know, if I go to bed at night, I like to put on films that I've watched a million times, because I like the, I just like the comfort of having a film on. Like that's, I mean, it's the same thing. Like when I have mates around, right, we'll play a retro game like that I'm nostalgic for, or I might just play it if I'm bored. Whereas I'd rather go to a game I know and get that nostalgia trip and whatever, rather than go, oh, I'm just going to pick this random game, which I do sometimes. I might, if I'm bored, I might just pick a random game, and if it's good, it's good. If it's shit, it's shit. but I'm not into retro gaming the same way you are.
So we've just had this really serious conversation about taking retro gaming seriously. Is that ironic?
Yes.
Yeah, we took it far too
We took
seriously.
the debate seriously.
We took it far
We
too
can't do anything
seriously.
about it. It's just one of those things.
It's
Yeah.
because I wanted to rant about it for ages after seeing people's comments. Like, you see them on all the videos, and like you said, it's both. You have the people laughing at those that don't know anything about it, and you have the people laughing at them because you're young and you're trying to know about it. And it's like, you can't win. You literally
you can't please
win.
everyone. And that's
Also-
something that's like a life. That's a
Yeah.
life lesson in general. Yeah.
Just to have prior information as well, we all love to have a chat with people, you know, and a debate, a healthy debate on YouTube comments or whatever. And for anyone that's saying ridiculous things or nasty stuff or anything, like literally, we will just go to bed at night and not care. Like, you during the comments, you think like, does this person think that I'm going to go to bed and go, oh my god, Sonic3478 said I look like an idiot with that moustache.
Oh,
I just can't sleep now.
Isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? Like, we laugh them off. It's just not even a thing. Like, we pity you if
But we
anything.
are having a conversation about it now, which means it must do something. Otherwise, it wouldn't feel
No.
it's worth acknowledging.
Funniest
Content.
one, I actually laughed out loud at this one. It was brilliant. I have to mention it, like word for word, because it was amazing. Because I bet the person thought it was such a burn.
Please don't
It
swear.
was so good. It's not. It's the kind. Richard, you need to find yourself some better friends. And I was just like, what a personal comment that is. Like, you watch a 10-minute video and go, the calibre of your friends is seriously lacking.
Judged our entire
Yeah.
20 years worth of friendship on that one video.
It's
But if a comment like that because you can't take context of a comment into like how you're saying it, that's not really that bad. I'm talking about people that are just generally flat out of order and dickish, and it's just like, dude, you're an idiot on the internet. No one cares. Like, no one cares what
Oh,
you're
for
saying.
cutting words. They hurt. Like, so I think someone moaned about the hat I was wearing when they went, "What have you got on your head? Is that a poop emoji?"
Does it look like
and
a
I
emoji?
seriously, I was crying myself to sleep about that one. And I was like, he doesn't like my
We
hat.
could only just get him to turn up today because he was
I
like,
wonder how many people will dislike my hat.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's bloody ridiculous.
I feel like it's like I said, it's ironic because it seems like we care because we're talking about it so much, but we're generally talking about it so much because we find it hilarious. Like, we can't understand how people behave like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't go up to someone in real life, would you?
I
And be like,
definitely know
"Oh,
that.
your beard's shit."
I definitely.
Like, just for example,
I've seen people do this.
I'll do it to you, but not like just some random person in the
The
street.
thing is that I think what we need to take away from this is that people are dicks. The difference is that we're going out to a larger audience, so you've got a larger content of dicks.
And it's about I can't say it.
Anonymity.
That's the word.
Yeah, no, I feel like this conversation and video is kind of just turned into a massive rant and digging out your fan base, which is not the
No,
case.
it's not the fan base. It's the great. It's the greater.
greater scope of YouTube.
Yeah,
in
my
general,
fan
and
base.
social media.
My fan base are great.
Yeah.
That's why they're here.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
had loads of positive comments about the
Yes,
video,
we did.
even though there was people like, oh, well, actually, you know, it's kind of good because, you know, it shows that the gaming community is alive and things like that. That's genuinely good comments because it's like, yeah, actually, that's a fair point. Maybe we didn't touch on that.
There's
enough.
also nothing wrong
Really
with
nice
critical
done.
comments
No,
or
for sure.
what's the word? Comments that are engage in a debate or anything like that, or showing their opinion. But to personally insult someone or attack someone for an opinion is, in my opinion, weird and outright stupid.
That's just people, though.
But yeah, no, that's not just. I'm assuming, you know, you sometimes go on anyone's YouTube videos if you're watching, you know, you're bored and you look at the comments,
Now,
you see outrageous things.
Yes, gentlemen, I've really enjoyed this discussion.
Yes, in
I
fact.
haven't.
No,
It was good.
yeah, it was good. But I would like to wrap this one because we are approaching the 20-minute mark.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yes, my
So
camera
you
cuts
cut
out
it.
after 20 minutes. It'd be easier to cut now.
You can do
Should I
camera.
be telling the people this?
No, it's
Okay.
fine. It's fine.
Keep
It's
it on.
beyond the hat.
Yeah, it's beyond the hat, exactly. There's it's uncensored.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Paul. Oh, I should have said degradable.
Born in London in 86, a stature gent named Richard Parliament. He loves to wrestle, but he loves one more thing, handhelds round the world. He fights in his comments and he argues with fans. It's a problem no one understands. There's two things he loves, it's getting and handhelds round the world. Drinking fine wine, fighting fanboys, handhelds round the world.
Top Hat Gaming Man.